All right. Well, thank you for coming to my masterclass. I do this once a month. It's the fourth Thursday of every single month. If you have signed up, you will automatically get the title and the link to join us, so you don't have to join every time. But when you do, gives me some idea about how many people are coming, but it really doesn't matter to me. I teach the same regardless. I do teach in a very interactive manner, so if you can interact with me, I would appreciate it. You can either use the chat, you can talk, you will not be on screen. So let's get started. So today we're talking about enhancing your personal brand. Many times as entrepreneurs are starting their business, they ask me, should I brand my name or should I brand a company name? And I will tell you what I tell them. I say, if it's just going to be you and you are the center of your business, and for this foreseeable future, it will be you, maybe an admin or something, but you are providing the service, then the brand should be you and your name. If you feel that you are going to be like an agency or a larger membership or a practice, like a lot of doctors or a lot of something like that, then the name makes sense to brand. And in that case, you should also brand yourself personally. When I started, I did my brand, the Natural Life Business Partnership. Now we trademarked Soul Professional. So now we're in the branding stages of that, of the Soul Professional Society, the Soul Professional Business School. We have a Soul Professional Collective that will be coming out, and I call it the Soul Professional Movement, which you'll be seeing more stuff about. So that's the brand. But I brand myself very separately. So a lot of people know my name or they know Soul Professional. And it took me a while to start branding my name because when I set up my business, I was thinking, well, we're just going to be this professional organization and I'll just be behind the scenes. I have found that over time, and that was 10 years ago, so I found over time that my name actually should have been branded along with it. About 2 years ago, I started personally branding, but about a year ago, I went on heavy. Honestly, I still don't have a website in my name. That will be coming. But I'm still going to interlock it with the Soul Professional brand because I own that brand and it's a big part of me. I had one of my members contact me last year, and she's like, your picture's not even on your homepage. And I was like, I did not realize that, because when I branded my homepage, I was thinking that I didn't matter. I was behind the scenes. And now I realize I'm more of the face of the company and I'm the one doing the work. So now I have to brand my name. So that's the difference between personal branding and company branding. I would assume most of you here are solo entrepreneurs because that's who I attract. And you should be personally branding your name. If you have companies and you want to talk about that or ask questions, I'll watch the chat. You can also, I'll just unmute yourself and talk, and I can answer as many questions as possible. So what I'd love to do, if you guys are open to it, you can even raise your hand if you want to talk. I'd love to hear why you decided to come to this class, because I want to make sure that I answer all of your questions by the end of the class. Or if you're struggling with even like, what is my personal brand? How do I do it? Anyone want to jump on and tell me why? Because I wanted to see your genius. Oh, Jamie, you could come every month. Anybody else? Why they decided to take this class? Because I just really want to make sure that I answer all of your questions. Anyone want to talk? Make it easier for me? No, you want me to just talk aimlessly into the camera? I can do that. It's just way not as interesting. But
I'm happy to speak. I really came to see what your perspective was and if I'm missing something.
Okay, That's good. Yeah. Same as Jamie, just wanted to learn from you. Nothing. I love my loyal fans. Okay. Um, can you give us an overview of the topics on your mind? Yeah, I'm absolutely going to give you an overview. But I just wanted to start what was personal branding. If you've been to my master classes before or any other classes I've seen, you see that I definitely talk about authentic business all the time. And when you're you, people will attract to you. So your brand is part of that authenticity, right? In your brand, hopefully you guys have figured out like your mission statement, your value statement, what makes you so unique that you don't have other competition, what makes you uniquely special, what is your genius, right? Because that's all what also makes you authentic. And I say this often, you should be able to give your business plan to someone else, and they should never ever be able to have your business because you are the unique identifier. Someone asked me the other day, actually, one of my close friends, she's like, we were talking about retirement. She's like, will you just sell off your company and your brand? I was like, I could sell the name because I own it, but that brand would never be the same without me. Like it just, that's not how I created it. But then I look at the Bob Proctors in the world, who's not even with us in this dimension anymore, and his name and his products are still coming out. Same with Napoleon Hill. There's a foundation that's still bringing out his product. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should rethink that. Maybe that is possible for me, and I'm thinking a little too small. Because as I roll out, I've been rolling out for years the soul professional movement. I felt like we finally got some damn traction and people are starting to get it, right? The difference between what we are doing here and what is being taught probably still in our colleges and universities. But this is all about being you, being unique, being authentic, and that should all show up in your brand as well. Okay, so let me get my notes. Where did they go? Here they are. Okay, so um, all right. Understanding personal branding. We'll do that first. And I think I talked a little bit about it, about the difference between you, your name, and your brand. When you think of like, I'm aging myself here, but Madonna, right? Or Cher, or someone that has one name, Prince, right? They branded themselves so well that they didn't even need a second name, right? It's just the whole brand. And when you think of a brand, you should think of all of the characteristics. You should understand their core values, what they stand for. Your brand is a lot about you. And your brand is about your core values. So, like in my business accelerator, we spend a week just on your core values. What are the most important things in your brand? The most important things in my brand, in the whole soul professional brand, I should say, is belonging. Belonging, safety, and authenticity. There's other ones in there, but those are some big ones that I want people to feel that there is this very safe space. When I create networking, when I create a master class, when I create something, I want those people that are usually out of the box thinkers, multi-passionate, people like me in the world that maybe didn't even know that other people like them existed in the world, have a really safe space to express themselves. Right? So when you're thinking about your brand, you have to understand, what are your core values? What do you stand for? Because in your branding and in your marketing, in your posts, in your newsletters, even in the way your logo looks, that should be evident, right? You should understand, what do I stand for, right? If mission statements, vision statements are all the same thing. A mission statement is, like I say, my mission is to help other people bring their gifts to the world, right? So I have to think about, when I do whatever, take on something new, does this help my mission, or is it off brand for me, right? Someone just asked me to do a collaboration with them, actually literally last night. And I said to myself, that's off brand for me. That's not what I do. I could do it, but that's really not the brand that I'm designing right now. So that's off brand for me. So I have to turn you down. Right. And it's not about the money. It's not about the prestige. It's about that's off brand for where I'm going and what I'm trying to do. So when you put stuff out there, is it off brand for me? Right. Every single post you do should be on brand for you. Right. If we look at if any of you guys follow me on LinkedIn, because that's pretty much the only place I post, unless you're in my group, I do post there in Facebook, usually the exact same thing that I posted in LinkedIn. I talk about soul something, soul entrepreneurs, scaling with soul, a soul-led entrepreneur. Today I wrote about the soul professional movement and what it means to be conscious and being a conscious leader in this world. So I'm always on brand all the time, right? There's a lot of other things in my brand, but I talk about what it means to inspire. I talk about whatever's in my brand, right? Right now, I'm really thick about the soul professional movement. So when I talk about, the brand itself, what is that, right? The brand is leading with intuition, right? Very intuition thick. It is about purpose. And I always say it's purpose beyond profit, right? It's authenticity, it's collaboration. So those are some of the words when I'm making posts, those are the things that I'm talking about. Does this make sense for you guys? Do you understand? Do you feel that your brand has some core values like that? Not yet. Some of you, yes, no's. Okay. Yeah, so that's when I'm talking about what your brand is, that's it. So I say, like when you think of the word soul professional, right? We always say we live in a higher vibration. We have an alternative approach to business, and we're here to help repair the world, right? So it's about global healing, right? I could veer off of that, go into like organic foods or environmental issues. I try not to, right? Because that's not, it could be a part of my brand, but that's what I call mission creeping, going a little too wide, right? I think when your focus is very narrow and people understand what you do, that's being on brand, right? When people look at me, they're thinking, okay, that's a business strategist, right? I have an alternative approach to business. That's what I talk about all the time. I often reject conventional norms, and that's okay. I have a non-traditional way of doing things, but that's my whole thing, right? But I only work with people that really want to repair the world and have an impact, right? That's a core value, by the way. So when your brand has a core value, like you only work with a certain group of people, and it's part of my purpose, because if I want other people to bring their gifts to the world, they're not really doing it for money, but I'm hoping that the result is also money, right? Their gifts are out there, but they're also creating a legacy and building wealth for themselves, right? It's the right people, it's rituals, deepening experiences, um, the community that maybe comes around you, right? I always talk about a community of belonging. And as I'm growing, I'm actually getting smaller and more intimate groups that I do better work with, right? It's about personal connection. If you've ever been in my masterminds or my networking, I'm always telling you, have conversations, build these things together. That is part of a personal brand. It's what you stand for. Okay, any questions up to now? Everyone good? All right, and if any of you guys have questions about your own brand, there's so few of us, I'm happy to, hot seat anyone or talk about anything. Just let me know.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
So I love everything that you're sharing. And I think, getting so clear is not easy. Like I can see it for other people, but seeing it for myself is just horrible. So, what you said about not speaking about all the fluff. Like I show up on LinkedIn a lot right now, as you know, and what I've given myself permission to do is sort of verbally vomit for a while because there's just too much, like, okay, maybe I stay out of the politics lane, but pretty much everything else is like what needs to come out. And then I'm hoping that as I continue to sort of give myself that permission to get stuff out there, that there's themes that are starting to like, wait, no, let's play completely in this lane and let's really own it. But
Yeah.
I had to give myself personally, I had to give myself permission to like let out a few of the things that maybe weren't playing in that space as I'm exploring and expanding.
Yeah. I love that idea. I love that idea. I always say, especially for like posts, one, if you're giving generic information that's not really helping anyone understand your brand, it's just like, oh, that's great information. Thanks for sharing. It's not like a call to action. Like, if this resonates with you, talk to me, right? Also, if you're not authentic, you're better off not posting than posting stuff that's not authentic to you and your brand, right? Because you're just adding to the junk that's out there, right? I'm sure it's great junk, but nobody cares, honestly. So you need to post, like if you just have a story, sometimes I don't have a content creation, I don't have a schedule. I let go of all the people that marketed for me because if I have something that just comes to me, that's what I do. Like today, this morning, I actually did 10 posts to explain the Soul Professional movement. And I wrote them all out. I sent it to my team and said, I need graphics for these 10 posts, right? When they're ready, it'll go out 10 days in a row, right? Because that's what I decided I wanted to do today. So that is more authentic than not posting at all. And then I could post for 10 days and not do anything. I'm trying to actually post more deliberately on LinkedIn, but I do the exact same ones on Facebook because I don't really do a lot on Facebook, but I do have my group there. Um, um, and if I get like this inkling, a lot of times I'm working with a client and something comes up and I'm like, oh, this is a really good story, or this is a really good question, or this comes up a lot. I should probably talk about this somewhere. I used to do TikTok videos on everything that came up, but I got tired of doing it. So I haven't done that in a while. But I could just end up posting about it or creating a series of posts just about this, right? I started posting my client testimonials because what I've realized, it's just called I Love My Clients. I got a little graphic that says I love my clients, and I just write their testimonial up there. And if you look at either my my personal business page on Facebook or my LinkedIn page, you can literally see all of my posts and get the idea of what I'm talking about. If you got here, I'll put my LinkedIn page in there so you guys have it. Um, and I'll just write like, and then I did that for like every Tuesday. I pulled up a bunch of them. It's like, every Tuesday, why don't I just do a I love my clients thing? But also, when you're doing that, your clients are using the words that you need to use in your marketing because they are explaining who you are probably better than you realize who you are, right? If you guys use ChatGPT, some of you do, some of you don't, but if you do, you should ask ChatGPT based on our previous conversations, what do you know about me? Right? And they'll probably come up with some pretty damn good words about who you actually are. And you can even say, what do you think my core values are? If you're using it enough that it would know you, right? You can put in some of your own like newsletters or words and just say, out of this, what do you think my core values are? Or who do you think my ideal client is? And let me tell you, if it comes up with something that you are not, that means your marketing's not working. Right? But it also gives you an idea of how to tweak it. You can say, hey, how do I tweak it? Because this is who I think my ideal client is. So how do I fix that? Right? Most of the time it's just being you. It's telling about your client stories. It's telling about how you answer questions. It's just being you is the best way to do it. I don't post like um like personal pictures of myself. I probably should because people would get to know me more, but I got this whole thing with, I don't know, I take personal pictures and then I want like my Facebook for my business is actually on my computer. I don't put it on my phone and then I'd have to switch things. So it's probably never going to happen. Right. So, but it might start happening on LinkedIn. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's part of just being you. So let's just talk about the core elements of personal branding. The first one, authenticity. I think I've discussed that enough, but you have to be authentic. You have to be authentic. Identifying your core values and aligning them in your branding. We've talked about that. And your last one is your unique selling proposition. That's how you define and articulate who you are and how are you so uniquely special from anyone else out there. That needs to show up, right? That's how I always talk about soul, soul something, right? Soul is my brand. But not everyone understands that, or when they see me, they're like, soul, that's kind of woo-woo. So I have to put a lot of logical stuff in there. Um, just to kind of keep that and or talk about a client today, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I think my client testimonials probably do the best for me than anything else because they really articulate that blending of science and soul, that blending of the logical and the spiritual, which I can say, oh, I blend logical and spiritual, but until they say it and use their words, it's really you can't hear it the same way. I will, because I'm in my LinkedIn. Where do I do this? Oh, under recommendations. And by the way, you should have people recommending you on LinkedIn. Um, and I always ask everyone when they send me something, hey, will you put that on LinkedIn for me? Here, someone just wrote this month about me. Her intuition and insightful ideas have not only helped me clarify my path, but have been pivotal in generating more income and impact. It goes on for all this other stuff. But I feel like they talked about my intuition because I definitely use intuition and spirit to help me. And and I blend it with what I know about business. Another one here said, I took Camille's Accelerator program. She was the perfect combination of business knowledge that I was missing and mindset and support. Super knowledgeable, great mix. Uh, that didn't say anything about my other part. Here's a really long one. All right. This talks about one of my programs, but still it helps me know like the next time I market this program, I think like some of this needs to be in it. So now this is actually on that page, but she was talking about one of my business accelerators and said is it blends authenticity, strategic insight, and soulful entrepreneurship to blend a comprehensive hands-on approach to business growth. Like that is like a perfect thing for me to use, even if I just clipped it out and said, hey, this is about me. Or you can rewrite it and say, this is who I ever wonder what I do, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Or put out your title or something like that. Making sense? Okay. So that's your unique value proposition. That's what makes you unique. Another thing to do is if you're a coach, there's so many coaches in the world, say, what makes me uniquely different than other coaches, blah, blah, blah. Right? So just keep telling people what you do. You can also do that in your introductions, right? When you're networking, something like that. Um, All right. Strategy. I have like a little outline. That's what I'm looking like. Make sure you talk about strategies to enhance your personal brand. We talked about online presence. So when you're doing this, not only should it be in your social media posts, it should literally be in your profile. It should be in your website. It has to be consistent across all your platforms. It's just like if you use the color blue, use the color blue in all of your platforms. If you use a certain color in a certain program, like when I talk about my school, it's always blue. right? I'm actually starting a new program, and one of my designers called and they said, "What color is this landing page? This is a brand new thing." And I was like, "I don't know. My programs have always been like purple." And she's like, "Well, since you're doing something new, why don't we drop the color orange and we'll enhance it with a different color and we'll go in this new direction for 2025." Right? So it's a visual branding. If you get my emails, you'll see that there's a different top with different colors depending on what I'm talking about, right? And it's really to subconsciously train the people that are watching me. Oh, this is about the school. Oh, you know what? That's a master class, right? Because you can just see the header and know if it's for you or not, right? That's kind of subconsciously training. If you have a lot of different things, I don't think you should have more than three, by the way. Um, if you're doing a lot of different things. I have other things, but they don't always go to the community that you guys are in. Like, right? If I'm doing professional speaking, it's usually completely different and it doesn't actually blend with my community. So think about those kind of branding. Networking, right? When you're introducing yourself and you're leveraging those relationships, make sure in your introduction it has something that's unique about you. You can even say, I work with clients that, or I help people who, um, or what makes me uniquely different is blah, 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 right? Also, the power of storytelling. And I do this if you've been networking with me. Usually, every time or every other time, I'm like, share a client story, right? Because people really understand what you do best when you tell a story about someone you helped and their transformation. They came in from here and now they're here, right? That transformation is part of your personal brand, right? You're sharing the story, but how you do it, right, shows your core values, your unique value proposition. So the client story kind of meshes it all together. So you can even post about a client story or talk about a client story, but you should all have a few client stories you can talk about depending on who you're talking to, right? I always have two or three that I can use just to talk about, success or if I have a doctor that reaches out to me, I can say, oh, the last time, or I've worked with this other doctor and this is what we did. Or I've worked with this other practice professional because some of the, therapists and doctors and they have the practice. So I help this practice. I usually go and like right now I'm working with a lot of teachers. Sometimes I've worked with a lot of attorneys in the past, like, oh, with this other attorney, this is what I did. So I pair the story to who I'm talking to. All right, I'm gonna take a breath. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions at all? Is this resonating for you guys? Good, thumbs up, excellent. And any questions or something that you don't understand? Do you feel that you're authentically branding yourself? Or do you feel like you're more kind of all over the place? I call that shouting from the mountaintop. It's like, look, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. Do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? Buy my stuff, buy my stuff.
I think I'm a work in progress.
Okay, good.
And um, I I know that in April something shifted and we went to a branding photographer and it was like, okay, we're just going to go all in. And Kevin and I wore different clothes and
Yeah.
even like showed up with this really like Kevin is a former IT guy that we had, with closed eyes and looking like he was a spiritual healer. And now people look at his LinkedIn and they're like, is he like a pastor? But it helps us get out of where we were. Like his
Yes.
collared, just the clothing that we were wearing wasn't in alignment with where we were really trying to go and what we were really trying to show up.
Yeah.
So I feel like the more I step into what are the clothes that I want to wear that are in alignment for me and my brand, what are the pictures that represent who we are, and then the articles, everything starts to come together. It's like
Yes.
starting with, yeah.
I love that. We'll talk about that a little bit because that image and the images that you have on your website and around your social media are so important. I literally just got pictures this morning of a new photo shoot and everything because I was like, okay, I've used the same images now for like 2, 3 years. And I was like, I got to do something else, right? Or have some casual stuff. Or now that I'm actually doing some speaker work, I was like, I need some, other pictures. I have a few of me on stage and stuff, but I need some other pictures. I will tell you, I struggle with this. So I had them done in all different things, like sweaters and shirts and skirts and dresses and suits and even different backgrounds. We have nature, we have city, we have, I don't know, there was like 3 different backgrounds. And because I'm not really sure, right? Because I'm spiritual and I'm also corporate. So if I am talking to a doctor
That
or
was
attorney,
my,
yeah, they're like,
yeah,
I don't know, right? So
yeah,
it
yeah.
has to be this interesting blend of how I put it all out there, which has been a struggle, but people are getting it now, you know? And the even my own brand, like the soul professional, there's a reason why the word professional is in there. That was very intentional. And the soul, I was like, wait, this just works. Let's see if we can brand this together, which it took 3 freaking years in that trademark department, but they did it. Right. They're like, we don't get it. So, so yeah, but how you look and how you show up is important of, and, but if you think about it, your client is you 2 years ago. That's who you're helping. So every time you're marketing to yourself 2 years ago, the person that didn't go through that transformation yet, right? And as you're learning, your client actually changes with you because you're growing and you're getting better, and your client grows and gets better with you, right? It doesn't mean that you still can't help those first clients, but you usually grow out of them. Um, Hold on, I'm reading this. I haven't really started marketing myself yet. I created a website, but haven't sent out an email to my list to even let people know that I'm in business yet. Okay, big announcement coming. I've created a couple posts on LinkedIn, but I'm not on any other social media. I don't think you have to be. That's all I've done. I'm still scared of being seen and putting myself out there. So I've been focusing on doing my own emotional healing. Excellent, excellent start. I'm hoping to start marketing myself soon. Good. Jessica, if I can help you with anything, just reach out. Um, so many times, Jessica, I don't know enough about you to know like what you're moving from. So if you're moving from a job that like you don't want to show your woo and that's what's scaring you, I can tell you a lot of people feel it. But once you get that woo out there, you'll be amazed at who's like, oh my God, you too. Like I was amazed. And you will find that you have naturally surrounded yourself with people that are also silent because that's the energy you've put out. So once you start to slowly put it out there, people will resonate. I love LinkedIn. I do all of my business on LinkedIn. I actually do not have a personal website. I send everyone to LinkedIn. Even when I do podcasts and speaking events, no matter what I do, I send people to my LinkedIn. I am connected with, I don't know, probably 10,000 people there, right? But that's literally where everyone sees me. That's why I have all my recommendations there. And when people Google you, that's the first thing that's going to come up is your LinkedIn profile. I would say spend a heavy amount of time making sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date and it's really reflecting who you are. Your banner, background, pictures, really important. I have to redo my banner now because I got a new picture. So, but very important to come off in that professional tone. Um, and if you can get recommendations, it's way easier to see who you're connected with. Some people ask me, they're coming out of professional positions and they're like, do I just start a new LinkedIn or do I add it to the top? And I say, add it to the top. Don't start a new LinkedIn unless you are living 2 different worlds. I do have a daughter that lives 2 different worlds, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe you should have two. And we kind of went, because she's in the performing arts and she's an actress, but she also has this whole corporate side, and most people don't know that she's an actress. So I'm like, I don't know. And then I think in the end, we decided, let's just put it together because you've also been a stage manager. You've also been all of these other things. And I think that actually does play off when you're in events management or an executive assistant or something else, right? I was like, let's just put it all in one. And so people see, oh, she's also looking for this job, right? So I've had the same LinkedIn profile since LinkedIn came out. And I don't even know what year that was, but I'm sure it started with a 19, right? And so there are people in there that are like, who are you? What are you doing? But sometimes they'll write a comment or something, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. Because they just knew me from a different world and they just kind of see what I'm doing now. And that's okay. Go ahead, Judy.
Actually, when I did my LinkedIn profile, I got an awareness that I did a lot of startups. So
Mm-hmm.
that actually helped me to know more about who I was in the process of doing it. So if that's
Beautiful.
helpful to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at my notes, make sure I went over everything. Brand reflection. So, I would love to see if I can get you guys to talk a little bit um, about a little bit about your brand, and it'll also give you an opportunity to one, talk about your brand and let other people in this room, and then whoever hears this recording, if you'd like to know you and what you do. Does anyone want to talk about your brand, your core values, your strengths, your unique qualities, and how you try to have that show up in your brand identity? Anyone want to talk about what you do or how you have it show up? It's a good opportunity. Go ahead,
I,
Jamie.
I will if no one else will. But Judy, did you say maybe? Was that a next? All right.
Good for you.
Um, Sometimes as a manifester, since I'm here to initiate, it's hard for me to sit in the back seat for like even 30 seconds. Like, I'll go first. Okay, so ask the question again. Thanks, Camille, for this space.
Go ahead.
What
Do
was your
oh
question again?
oh how in your branding, what are your core values, your unique ability or strengths, things that show up in in your branding? Like what are you trying to show in your branding? You did mention, looking more spiritual
Yeah, yep.
and kind of changing things up. So I love that.
I actually mentioned to someone, I think it was this weekend, where I feel like I might need to come out of the closet even a little bit more in terms of who I am authentically. And I do think what you said, it connects with people that I really want to be connecting with. So why
Yes.
am I hiding it? And for me, it's that mind body connection that I really haven't talked a lot about. Like anybody that knows me behind the scenes in the closet knows that I think that pain is emotional. And so oftentimes there's a lot of stories that we have around emotional pain,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't necessarily connected the fullness of who I am online. But so anyway, we're just starting to work with someone on helping bring it out. And she was like, what if you really played in the alternative healthcare space, like into alternative leadership health? And I was like, oh my word, this is so in alignment for us. So our core values are health, like mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, that kind of thing,
Okay.
freedom, abundance, um, bravery, and I feel like I'm missing one, empowerment, like for belief through. Those are sort
Okay.
of our primary core values. And then what was your other question? Sorry, you had said core values and
Um, strengths or
mm,
unique value, like something that you uniquely bring together, and it could be that spiritual side.
hmm we call it soul care right now, and like helping people really connect with themselves. And also, I know that I'm a unique connector. Like I like to connect people, so that's sort of my personal. Uh, Otherwise, like I know these things, I can ask similar questions, but actually doing it for myself, I don't have it on paper anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So some great questions to ask. Here, I'll even put this. I'll put these in because I'm going to ask you, but since you guys are here, I'll put them in the chat. It says, like, what personal experiences have shaped your brand identity? Right? Those are things that you can talk about. How do you see your personal brand aligning with your business mission? Right? And you want to make sure that they align. What challenges have you faced in defining or communicating your personal brand? Right? Sometimes you're putting out stuff that's not actually your brand, right? And how do you currently engage with your audience and what could you improve? So those are just some questions. They were going to be discussion questions, so we can talk about that too if anyone wants to share. But the challenges, if you guys have had challenges, it's easy for me to help you out. But Judy, I want to give you a chance to talk about your brand as well.
Yeah, so Jamie, I'm a manifester too. And what I will say for somebody who's starting out, and I guess my biggest challenge has been trying to find the center of my work because it's been so expansive in all these different areas. And it's like, what is the core? So it really has been a long, long journey of trying to get to the core of what my work is. And plus, continuously evolving myself that's half the challenge, I think. I mean, it's what I love and it's the gift of it, but that's, from a point of view of let's just make a website and let it stay still for a little while. That's the challenge. But one of the things that I did in the very beginning, again, because I didn't know how to position myself, was I didn't do a website. I didn't know at the time. I just went straight into having constant contact as a newsletter and created a banner.
Okay.
And afterwards, I realized that was actually a good move because I was actually building my relationships and having a place. So, that was like wow, I actually got it right without even knowing it, thinking I was, missing out on the website. And also the piece of trying to find someone to do the website because I wasn't clear myself on what it is. But the one thing that stayed constant was it was always my name and it was always in the same color. So even if I changed other things, that stayed the same. And I went from my full name, which is Honorado, is my last name, is to Judy O, because a lot of people spell my last name wrong. So it was like, okay, let's make it easy. In branding, so in my banners, I do put the astrology. The numbers are in on a subtle level. So I've tried to put things in there, but also on a subtle level because I really do want to put the business piece. And like you, it is how do you pull this? Because really what I'm doing is I'm taking metaphysics, and it's not just astrology, but it's Chinese metaphysics, and it started out in feng shui and also numerology, but it's this whole piece of using all the invisible energy tied to business, but also not being, part of the challenge along the way too was the fact that you'll make more money when you work with me, but I don't help you I don't help you to do that. And also, like, part of the branding is realizing I'm not a coach, I'm a guide, because I don't, and you come to me when you need me, not as much as from a business model point of view. The coaching model of having somebody come in on a consistent basis is lovely, but it's just not, it's not who I'm working with. I mean, I could teach that way. I could definitely mentor that way, but not, yeah. So the hardest piece has been trying to find that center point, and and how do you tell people you are this when you're not in the box this?
Well, you can do a list of things that you work on, right? You can also use testimonials of people that have worked with you and use their words.
Right.
Judy helped me, or I transformed from this to this. That's a great way to do it. Use other people's words, like what my clients have to say.
Yeah.
But I think you definitely should be incorporating the numerology because that's what you do, right? And all of those pieces of you are important because they create you.
Yeah, and I'll definitely say as I've spent like it really is unfolding the and evolving. And what I would say is the more I have got closer to my like defining my niche, like I can be outspoken, but I'm really quite a quiet person. I'm not, and I'm not um maybe competitive within myself, but not competitive. I'm not against others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that piece of really being able to soften this piece of, I say I work with gentle women with fire in their belly. So they have ambition, but not at the cost of well-being and um, well-being and family.
Okay.
So that's also kind of come into my branding, is really bringing in that there's a lot of women who've gone into business for that balance and basically for that trinity, that the work they do, their heart and soul is in it, but their heart and soul is also in having, well-being and home life, whatever family means for them.
Right. One of the things that you can all do that might be helpful is look on LinkedIn or just kind of Google what you do and see who else shows up, right? Because it could be that your competition said it really well.
Yeah.
Or you can look and say, I do this, but not this, but I love the way they presented this, right? And just studying how other people are doing it, right? Um, as Tony Robbins used to say, success leaves clues. Like just you don't have to reinvent anything. Just see what other people are doing and see if it resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you. Or for Judy, if other people are creating packages or memberships or right, and just say, okay, does that resonate? It is really hard to run a business when you have to hunt for clients all the time, right? One-offs is a tough way to run a business, so yeah. Anyone else have anything to share or any challenges that you have faced in personal branding or even communicating your brand? Nothing. Do you guys all
I
do?
can
Oh, go
I
ahead,
can share.
Jessica.
Yeah.
Sure.
So uh yeah, I've had lots of challenges. So I can talk about that. Um I think for me it's been so I quit a job that I was doing 2 years ago and I've just basically been doing like deep soul searching.
Okay.
And for the last 10 years I've been doing deep soul searching to figure out my career, specific to my career for 10 years, really to get to like, what is my soul calling? And it's clear, or it's getting, continually being refined. So it's, that's a challenge, like to really know ourselves, to really know our heart, to really know our mind, to really know what message do we authentically have to share and want to communicate. I've gotten clear on that, but then it's like, yeah, I like I feel it and sense it and know it in my being now, but then like how to give voice to it is where I'm stuck. And I, yeah,
Jessica, what do you call yourself?
so even that's like hard. But on LinkedIn, I put spiritual healer,
Okay.
teacher, and guide. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's been really hard for me to step into, but that's what the messages keep being, as I listen and listen and listen and refine over 10 years, like that's what I feel called to. That's what I've always felt called to. And I don't, yeah, I guess part of me still resists surrendering to that calling fully and like owning it and just showing up in that way. Yeah.
So what I would suggest is this exercise is in my first book too. Writing with a pen and piece of paper because you think differently when you write with your hand. Write out what you'd feel if money didn't matter. Write out what that dream life would look like. What would you want to wake up and do every day? Who would you want to be helping? What would it feel like inside? And just freehand, free write what that would look like for you. And don't stop with your brain going, oh, people don't get paid for that, or I can't do that, or that's not reasonable. No one else does that. Like, don't allow that to happen. Just free form. Just write it all out as long as it takes. And then just keep getting it bigger and bigger and bigger. And then also write, you can write it in the same paragraphs or essay, or you can write it separately of what you absolutely do not want. So that becomes what I call your non-negotiables, right? If you never want to work on a Friday night, you got to write that down. You never want to work, with a group again. Whatever it is for you, right? Write it all down so your vision becomes very clear. Because when you can hold that vision, the other pieces start to come in. But when you don't even have a vision of what that ultimate dream could look like, there's no way to get there. Right? The first step is to create that ultimate vision. To just really think through, what does life look like? How much money will you make? Will you meet people in person? Will you meet people on video? Will you be traveling? What's your lifestyle like? Who's around you all the time? Do you want to work every day? Do you want to work some days? Do you want to work with groups? Do you want to work with one-on-ones? Like, do the vision itself without the thinking part. Like, don't think if it's possible. Just see if you can envision what that would look like. Write that all out. And then from that vision is where you start to build your foundation, what that looks like. Like, I like groups. I started with a very big group idea, and it's pared down, and I ended up creating this teaching school, which I know now that after I've done some pilots, it's going to be very small cohorts, and I'm actually a mentor more than I am a teacher. Because as soon as someone can't do something, I'm like, okay, let's meet one-on-one and get through this, right? I want to make sure that they're implementing everything I teach them. So everything I do, the School of Business, I think, is going to be business and mentoring. Because that's, the original vision as I started it. I'm one that I start things and I like build wings on the way. Like, let's build this. And then I'm like, nope, that doesn't feel good. And I pilot and test things all the time. But I'm testing, does it feel good to me to be doing this? Right? And then how much of it? Like, I wrote this whole 6-week course on Soulful Sales. And I'm like, when am I gonna do that? Right? So I was like, okay, I wrote it now. I'm putting it over till next year, and I'll think about that because I'm building some other things right now. And then when that works out, like, I'm doing an 8-week class now, maybe instead of that, I'll just do the Soulful Sale one instead, and I can run 2 classes, right? So I don't know. I kind of see how it feels. And I also feel like I'm very divinely guided into exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But that took like 10 years of my life too to listen. I'm not a good listener.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all very
Did that help,
helpful. Yeah.
Jessica?
Yeah, definitely my spiritual practice is listening,
Yeah.
and developing that intuition and
Yeah.
connection to spirit. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely a visionary. Like, that part's easy for me, but what's really hard for me is taking that vision, and I'm not a manifester or whatever you guys said you were.
I'm
Like,
not either.
I'm like not good at making it actually happen. Like,
Yeah.
I can vision all day long. That's like my superpower.
Well, envision what your day would look like. Who do you want to work with? Like, get all of that out, and then all we have to do is create a business from that.
Yeah.
You know, you're always welcome to work with me personally and literally create your entire business when you're ready. Like, you have to envision it though first, because I'll tell you, that's the first exercise we do anyway.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
That's the homework
Thank
I
you
give
so
her.
much. I really appreciate it.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. I know we're coming up on our hour and you guys have other things to do today. Any final questions, comments, concerns, anything I can help you with? You're welcome, Judy.
Can you tell us more about what's upcoming for you with your program?
Yeah. In January 2025, I am starting what's called the Soul Professional Collective, which will be a year-long mastermind at a very high level. It's working with me individually and as a team to really start to up-level a lot of businesses. So that is coming along the way. I will also have the business incubator that I will do 3 times a year. I'm in one right now. So another one will come up in January. That is my foundational business program. It's called the Business Accelerator and Mentorship Program. I think I just did it yesterday. I put up there, I didn't market it yet, but I'm setting it up to market. I just put up the January pricing, and there is an early bird if someone jumps in now. That they'll get better pricing, and I'll probably jump on a one-on-one because it's so far from now, and get them all set up for the Business Accelerator. That's literally building your entire business. It's what I do with my high-end clients, and it's a mentorship program. So you're working with me one-on-one as well as building everything. It usually runs on a Thursday. Both of my last cohorts were later in the day, and the one I'm doing right now is evening because most of those people have full-time jobs as well. So I usually get a group together. It's a 5-person maximum. So everyone is interviewed and I make sure that they all match, because that's all I can handle because it's so much one-on-one work. So that will come in. Soulful Sales will probably show up sometime next year. That'll be a bigger person because I don't work with you one-on-one on those. So that's some of the stuff that's coming up next year. Yeah, any other questions? Was this helpful? Great. As you guys know, we always do the networking the 3rd Tuesday of every single month. And let me see. And the masterclass is the 4th Thursday of every single month. And I'm trying to get up the thing to see what is December. Oh, November's not even up here. I have no idea. They took November down. Now I gotta go see what November is. But it's the 4th Thursday. So I will get November back up there. And whatever that is, you will find out shortly. And this is recorded, so you can get any of my past master classes on YouTube. You can also go to our website. If you go all the way to the bottom of the master class, they're all there too, so you can look through all of the titles and everything and watch whatever you want. So they are all on replay for you guys. And that's all I got. Please reach out if I can help you in any way or you need any clarification on anything. I'm always here. And hopefully we'll see you next month.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, everyone. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.